Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Your Next Best Step podcast, a podcast that is all about building the right strategy for you, designing and creating an amazing culture, as well as focusing on what type of mindset you need to run and grow and scale a successful business. So today we are talking about, this is kind of it's a mix of strategy and mindset, really. And it goes along with everything that's happening in the world. We talk a lot about, and I talk a lot about this myself on my podcast, in my videos, even when I'm working with clients, is all of the things that are happening out there, costs going up, inflation, trying to source product and having disruptions in delivery times, gas prices going up. I mean, you name it. And what are we going to do to work through this? And here's the thing, you've probably heard me say this if you've been following me for a while, and if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, it's life, it's business, it's things that happen. Whether it's a pandemic, whether it is a recession, whether it is, no matter what it is, we are always going to have things that are going to impact our business. We are always going to have things that impact our life. But what the difference is how we look at this situation. How we, instead of looking at it as a problem, we look at it as there's a solution in here somewhere, okay? There is an opportunity here for us to do things better, for us to see things differently. Because when we don't have impacts coming into our business or our life, we just kind of keep going. And I think it's a human nature thing, but we just kind of keep going. We might even keep coasting. We might just do things the same way that we've always done them. But when something impacts us, positive or negative, when something impacts us, it forces us to look at things differently. It forces us to shift our perspective based on the context that is happening around us, if we choose to look at it that way. There are many business owners and there are many people who, when impacts happen, when things happen, they just always see the problem. They always see the negative, and that's what they choose to see. And I'll give you just an example of sometimes life just comes at us and throws us something that we're not expecting to deal with. Sometimes, life just happens. But I have a friend who I went to high school with, and 7 weeks ago, she is a health fanatic. She's an amazing faith-based individual, and she is, she works out every day. She eats well. She had a heart condition herself about, I think it was like 11 years ago. But 7 weeks ago, her husband ended up having a heart attack. And through this whole thing, she has remained so strong and has had the most amazing strength and faith and choosing to see things differently so that she could be there for him. She could be there for her kids. She could be there, for the rest of the family, for his siblings, and at the same time, be there for herself and support herself. In a situation like that, she chose to not be like, oh my gosh, and completely crumble, because what good would that do, right? She wanted to be there for her family. She wanted to be there for her kids. She wanted to be there for herself, okay? And if it was a form of how she dealt with it and how she was coping through things, that might be it. But I think more than that, she chose to see things differently. She chose to shift her perspective. And she said, all the things that we, haven't done, like I want to do these moving forward, all the things that we put off doing, don't put off doing anything. And if there is something that you really believe in and you dream, you have a big dream to do something, you just have this burning desire in you, do it. No matter the struggle, no matter the circumstance, no matter what, if you have that, you need to push forward and you need to do it. So that is just an example of things that happen in life. And as I said, life is always going to happen. It's just how it is. Problems are always going to arise in our business. I recently had a problem in my business, and I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? And instead of completely letting it take me down, I chose to look at it differently. And I chose to approach the situation with solutions, not reactions. Okay. I chose to look at it to find the opportunities in it, to make things better, to do things differently, to work with my team and say, what happened here? What happened here, and how can we do it better? Instead of completely crumbling, because what is that going to do other than make me miserable, right? And there's enough going on in the world to make us miserable, so why make myself even more miserable with something that I can choose to see differently? So why I'm bringing this up is because there is a lot of stuff going on in the world. There are a lot of things that are happening, okay? However, we can choose to see things differently. But when things start to go awry, whether we're just talking business. So when things start to go south, as far as what's going on in your business, sales aren't the way that you want them to be. People are, frustrated, and maybe you have some bad morale going on. Maybe something happened with one of your purveyors or your suppliers or whatever in your business, and that impacted being able to get product in. Maybe it's even just your industry. Maybe something happened in your industry that impacted it, and now it's like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Okay. It's just like when the Great Recession happened, and all this, like, the real estate market just completely tanked, and it was like, what are we going to do in the real estate market? I have a client during COVID who is a home inspector and does home inspections, and it was like his business changed when COVID happened. So instead of saying, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We just need to fold up shop and go home. He chose to see things differently. He chose to say, how can we take this industry and flip it on its head and do this even better? Do things that people really need, that we know we're really good at because of what we do. Same thing with people in the real estate market, way back when, said, we're not going to just let this go. We're going to try doing different things. We're going to try, we're not going to give up. We're going to keep going. So I want to talk today about 5 things that happen when our businesses start to go awry. Things start to get, impacts come in, negative impacts, and what ends up happening. There's also, when positive impacts happen, that we can talk about as well, what mistakes business owners make as well, to say that might impact their business negatively down the road. So the first one is, when things start to happen negatively, business owners, the first thing that they want to do is they want to blame something else. They want to blame the economy. They want to blame the consultant. They want to blame the government. They want to just blame something else, instead of looking at it and saying, what can we do differently? Maybe, or how could we have been more prepared? Or how can we turn this situation around? Instead, they want to push the blame off on other people. Same thing when your business is doing well, when a business is doing amazing. I have seen business owners who look at that and end up taking the credit that they were the one that made everything happen, and they forget about their team. And that is definitely not something that we want to do. I mean, I've heard people say, I am a self-made X, I'm a self-made millionaire, I am a self-made billionaire, whatever. When the truth is that nobody is self-made. And I believe this wholeheartedly. No one is self-made, because we need a good tribe around us to help us to elevate, to help us to execute, to help us do the things that we want to do. Even if it's just you in your business, you still have friends and family and support, a support circle that are going to get you to the next level. So when a negative impact happens, we don't want to blame other things. we want to take a look at it and say, what could we have done differently? Or, okay, this is what's happening. Like, I am going to take responsibility for what happens next. All right. Same thing when we have a hugely positive impact that happens. It's not just because of you, but it's because of the people that are around you that have helped you. You're the visionary, absolutely, but you can't carry out that vision by yourself. There are other people that helped you to get to where you are and will continue to help you get to where you want to go. So number 2 is, and I've seen this time and time again, when something negative impacts our business, the first thing that people want to do, cut expenses. Cut expenses. Back in 2008, when the recession started happening, my boss, when everything started to go, and we were in the laboratory equipment industry, what did he want to do? Cut expenses. And he cut, like, we weren't even allowed to buy office supplies, which was like nuts, but cut expenses. Cut including the expenses that he should not have cut, which we're going to talk about that in a minute. But cutting expenses is not necessarily the answer to helping when you have a negative impact in your business. Reason why? Because there are certain things that you need to keep your business going no matter what. There are certain expenses that you need to have, such as software, like important software, such as marketing, such as, keeping people employed in your business as much as you possibly can. So instead, looking for, okay, where are the redundancies? Where do we have expenses that are wants and not needs? Okay. On the flip side, when something positive happens, when we have this huge influx of cash into our business, and it's amazing, the first thing that I've seen many, many business owners do is they want to spend a lot of money. And what do? They end up overspending, or they end up investing in things that aren't necessarily going to help the business, but they end up hindering the business. So when an impact comes in, and this is why I talk about managing your business by seasons, looking at it and saying, what's going on? What season are we in? And what activities do we need to do? And what are the most important things that we need to make sure that we keep going? That's if something negative impacts it. Something positive, when you have that flourishing season of cash flow, we don't want to spend all that money. We want to make sure, we want to take a look at it and say, okay, how can I reinvest back in the business? How can I take care of my people that have helped me? How can I, what are things that we need to spend money on that maybe we, couldn't spend money on before, but also what do I need to keep in our business, in the bank account, so that when we do have a season that's a little bit slower, we're good. Okay. How can we make that reserve? How can we build that reserve? So that's the second thing. So people either cut expenses drastically and it ends up hindering the business even more, which is what my old boss did, or when they have a huge flourishing season, they want to spend everything and then they run into problems and they don't realize why. So what do you want to do? Learn to manage your season by businesses, by season. Bleh. Learn to manage your business by seasons. Got that backwards. And understand what happens in each season and what activities you need to make sure that you keep going so your business can keep thriving no matter what. So number 3 is they try and control the damage. They try and control the damage. They try and control everything as much as possible to make sure that nothing else happens. And I hear this a lot lately. We're functioning in survival mode. We're just trying to protect the core. We're just trying, I need to make sure that I'm involved in everything so I can make every decision so we can stop the bleeding. I always hear that, stop the bleeding. What is worse for your employees to hear than all of that? Is that motivational? When something impacts the business, when, costs are up and all the things that we've been talking about, the thing that your employees don't want to hear is we're functioning in crisis mode. Who wants to hear that? It's so detrimental to the corporate culture, to the culture that you're creating, number one. And number two, like, who is going to be inspired to bring new ideas or come up with solutions with leadership saying that? On the flip side, on the other side of this, is that when something big happens in the business and they have this huge success and they have this huge, thing happen, people just say, oh, like everybody else has got it. And then they stop paying attention. Or the other thing is they get comfortable. They get comfortable with that success and they say, okay, we've had this huge success. So you know what? We're just going to sit back and we're just going to ride this out. And the truth is that no, because every next level you get to, you have a next level of circumstances, problems, solutions, opportunities, cash flow, whatever. Every next level, you're going to keep going up and those things keep changing. So if we get comfortable, if we get complacent in what we're doing and we just sit back and we say, oh, everybody's got it, you're going to have something happen. You're going to have an impact that comes in. And you're going to have holes and gaps in the business that you can't fill. Because, again, at every next level of success, you need to have processes different. You need to have so you need to up-level them. Your experience is going to change with your customers. The way that you work with your team is going to be different. So we need to make sure that we're consistently growing. If we achieve a level of success in our business, we want to say, this is great, celebrate it. And then say, okay, what is up next? Take time to celebrate it and what is up next. As well as on the flip side, again, as I said, when something negatively impacts the business, we don't want to go into crisis mode. We don't want to go into control master mode. Instead, what we want to do is gather everybody together and say, all right, let's assess where we are and let's look at where do we want to go. Number 4, and this goes back to the expenses. The fourth thing, when we have a negative impact on our business, when our business is slipping, one of the first things, as I said, business owners want to cut expenses. They want to cut people, they want to cut expenses, and they cut things that are going to hinder their growth. And one of the first things that business owners want to cut is marketing. So if you're in this situation where your business has had a downturn for whatever reason, why would you cut off the thing that is bringing visibility to your business, that is going to connect you to the person who's going to come in and shop or dine or take a class or whatever? Why would you cut that off? But again, it's the first thing that people want to cut when they've had a downturn in their business. It's also the first thing that it's one of the first things that people want to blame. Oh, when something doesn't work, it was the marketing. It was the marketing. It was the marketing person. They didn't do their job right. And in actuality, there's many different factors that go into something not working. There's many different things that happen. And maybe it wasn't intended to work because you were supposed to be doing it better and different. On the flip side, when a business is doing well and has a huge, like something goes really, really well and it's just amazing, people they look at it and say, oh, we did this awesome. Let's repeat it. Let's just repeat it again and do the same exact thing and let's see what it's like. And then maybe it doesn't work the next time. Or what they want to do is they want to buy, they go in the opposite direction. Let's go big and huge. And it doesn't work. It flops. So when something works right, when we have a huge success in our business, we want to look at it and we want to say what worked really well. And then also, what can we do better? It might be a tweak in messaging. It might be a change or a small addition in an additional advertising stream. It might mean a longer runway if we're launching something, okay? It might mean, switching up our displays in our store. Who knows? But looking at it and saying, what did we do really, really well? How did this really, really work? But also, what can we do better the next time so that we can connect to people better? So when it's in the negative side, we don't want to cut marketing, because when we cut marketing right away, guess what? That is the thing that is connecting you to your customers. That is the thing that is going to bring people in. So instead of cutting it, we want to do more marketing, but we want to do it smarter. And that means feet on the street, what we used to call guerrilla marketing, old school, organic type stuff. So when you have a downturn and you might not be able to spend tons and tons and tons of money on ads, you might have to dial it back and say, what can we do ourselves? What can we do organically to continue this moving forward and get the word out, get us more visible? When we do really, really well, we want to look at it and say, how can we do this better? How can we do this better next time? What are some things that we can change for next time that would really enhance it? So the last one, the absolute last one, the mistake that people make when their business is in a downturn is they stop believing in their vision. They stop believing in their vision. They stop believing in their goals. And they get into, I'm just going to divvy out tasks, or I'm just going to divvy out tasks to people. They think that strategy means task delegation, or, as someone put it to me, teaching tasks. They forget about the vision of the business. That is the most important thing. That is your North Star. That is the thing that, no matter what impact comes in, positive or negative, that is the thing that we want to make sure that we stay aligned with, and we want to make sure that we always have that in front of us. On the flip side, it's the same thing if we have a positive impact on our business. Because what happens with a lot of business owners is they have this huge success, and what do they want to do? They want to go big and they want to go wide. And then what happens is they completely forget about their vision and what they really stand for and what they align with. And they go completely off. And then what happens? It goes backwards. Okay? Again, when we have something negative that impacts our business, it's the same thing. They forget about their vision. They forget about what they really stand for. And that North Star isn't in the sky anymore for them to guide them. So what you want to do is always have your vision in front of you. Always have that vision guiding you. And always align what you're doing with whatever that vision is, because that's the thing that's going to guide you. So here's the deal as we wrap this up. Here's the deal. No matter what happens with your business, positive, negative, it's always that yin and yang. And we always need one and the other happening. You're never going to always just you're always just going to be successful, and you're never going to have a negative impact ever come into your business. We need those two, and we need to keep them in balance. When one tips in the other, when one tips in one direction, we want to get it back into balance. And how do we do that? By being aware, by having awareness of how we're showing up, but also how we are putting ourselves out to our people, to our customers, to our community, by staying aware, by staying connected, by aligning with our vision. That's how we can get it back into balance. And we want to do that because, as I said, if you have negative impacts that come into your business, people make a lot of mistakes. They make a lot of poor decisions. And then what happens? Businesses close, businesses fail. People leave, people get frustrated. You have a huge setback and you're struggling and clawing to get back to where you were. It's the same thing when people have a positive impact, a hugely positive impact. If they don't choose to look at it with the right perspective, they go completely out in left field, or they get complacent. And here's the thing, as I said, the price of success The entry fee for success is struggle. And that struggle is what gives us better ideas. It's what makes us a better entrepreneur, a better business owner, a better problem solver. And after all, being in business is all about solving a problem. It's not necessarily about selling product. I mean, yes, we all want to make money, absolutely. But it's more about the solutions that we have to problems that other people have, and how we then show up and serve to help the people that we really want to help, that are our customers. So I hope this helped you, and I hoped it helped you to see both perspectives, when negative impacts happen and when positive impacts happen. There are people that can manage these so well, so well. And my hopes is that listening to this episode with everything that's going on right now, whether you're experiencing one or the other, that this helps you to be more aware, to be more self-aware of the leader that you are, but also of what's happening, what's really happening. So you can use that vision and use that North Star to always guide you. So I hope this episode helped you. Until next week, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.